Old Disney Channel original movies, or DECOMs, were simply put legendary. If you grew up in the mid to late 90s and you watched Disney, you understood the excitement of seeing a brand new film every month. I know the rivalry between Disney and Nickelodeon is one for the history books, but if you lean Disney, DECOMs were something you could use as a leg up in any argument against Nick. The DECOM run from 1997 to I'd say 2003 was absolutely generational. I say 2003 because in my opinion that was the last great year of Disney movies. Have there been some decent gems since then? Sure, but that was the last consistent year of excellence. There are some DECOMs that I remember very well, and there are some DECOMs that I don't remember at all because dudes are getting up there in age. So a few months ago I was dog sitting for one of my friends and he had Disney Plus. Needed something to help pass the time, and I'm not a fan of starting new shows outside my usual comfortable environment, so I was like, you know what? Let's rewatch some DECOMs. I had the idea of doing a top 10 Disney Channel original movies list, and maybe I will down the line, but I figured, you know what? Let's just talk about one movie for now. One that is very much beloved in the Disney Channel universe. One that I believe is high on a lot of people's lists. That's right, you see the title. Brink. The film is undoubtedly Disney Channel royalty and for good reason. But why is it considered the GOAT, or at least one of the GOATs, to most people? Let's look into it. Brink follows a group of inline skater friends led by Andy, who is also known as Brink. The group call themselves Soul Skaters, and the idea is that they skate for fun, not for money or fame. None of that villain shit. Not yet at least, wink wink. The Soul Skaters are often at odds with Team X-Blades, who actually are a professional skate team led by Val, who also plays Spike in Little Giants, which caught me off guard. Team X-Blades have sponsorships and get nice equipment and usually win tournaments and thus rack in bread. Andy's pops is injured and can't work, but is also uncertain on whether or not he'll be able to get his job back once he's cleared. So Andy's family is lacking in bread, which causes him to sell out and eventually join Team X-Blades since there was a spot open after one of their guys got injured. But does so behind his friends and Pop's back. Andy's friends find out about this, turn their back on him. Val's like, hey man, you can still run with us even though it's cause he knows Andy doesn't have any other options. Both groups go scout the downhill portion of an upcoming skating competition. They decide to have a race to see who stays and who leaves. It ends up being Andy versus Gabriella. Val pulls some scum shit to rig the race for Andy to win, hurting Gabriella in the process. Andy's like, fuck this, I'm out for real this time. Andy rejoins the Soul Skaters. The finals of the competition is a race between Andy and Val because of course it is. Val once again tries to pull some scum shit during the race, which the ESPN cameras pick up, but Andy defies all odds and ends up winning the race for the Soul Skaters. He denies Team X-Blades manager's offer for him to be the new face of X-Blades after cutting ties with Val because of the chicanery he committed. Andy then goes on to celebrate with his team. So yeah, feel good ending, doing it for the love of the game, not the money, be a good person, the usual Disney Channel themes. But that's something we're used to with all DECOMs, so we kind of just accept that it's part of the deal at this point. So what makes Brink great? Well, first off, it has its thing, right? It has an identity, which is inline skating. The movie was released in 98, and late 90s, early 2000s, rollerblading and skateboarding were cool things to do. Low-key, they still are, to me at least. So I understand this may come off as a generic form of praise, but the film has this cool factor to it. The art of skating in general is cool to watch, and when you see how high they get up and the tricks they pull off, you're instantly blown away by it. Same type of feeling you get when you watch Spider-Man swinging around the city, or when you watch Jeff Hardy go crazy. And that leads me to the main thing that stands out, which is the skate choreography. Just phenomenal. It really seemed like everyone attached to this film put in a lot of work to pull this off and make Brink a respectable depiction of inline skating, and it showed. Everything is extremely well done, and while it shows how entertaining and fun inline skating can be, it also shows how difficult it is, man. Like, to master that type of balance while operating at such speed is actually crazy, so shout out to anyone who takes part in it. Andy is also a great protagonist. I'd call him Brink, but you guys might get confused on if I'm talking about the movie in general or just Andy, so I gotta differentiate the two. That's the type of shit I do for you guys, by the way. For 200 fucking views, probably. But we have Andy Brinker leading the charge, and I'd go as far to say that he's a top 5 DECOM protagonist. Maybe even the best. And a big reason for it is Eric Von Denton's performance. Dude is a pure babyface. Wrestling term for good guy. He's got a certain charm about him that lightens up the mood. He's like the Travis Kelce of inline skating. And he makes the over-the-top nice guy act work. Usually that happy-go-lucky shit annoys me, but it didn't here. Like, if anyone else was casted as Andy or Brink, I don't think I'd buy them as a protagonist as much because EVD brings that emotional vulnerability to the character and it comes off as organic instead of forced, so you buy the moments where Andy feels down. So yeah, top tier DECOM protagonist, which is why when he turns heel and joins X-Blades, it hurts. It's like when Hulk Hogan joined the NWO. Alright, no more wrestling references, but you understand why he does it. Pops is hurt, Mom's place of work is looking slow, someone's gotta pick up the slack, so my guy's intentions are still pure. Seeing some discourse on if Pete, Jordy, and Gabriella were a little too harsh on Andy when they found out he joined the enemy, and I kind of see both sides to be honest, but I do side with the idea that they were being a tad harsh. Cause bro, Brink's pops was dead ass injured, like they really did need the money. I don't know if he explained the situation off camera, but they should have been a bit more understanding. Gabriella talking about everyone needs the money. Bro, I don't care about everyone else. I need it. Speaking of pops, dude, Andy's dad in this movie is actually fucking jokes. Like, he genuinely seemed confused when Andy would talk to him in Gen Z terms, and it just had me weak. But the dynamic between the two is actually unique. Yes, there's the talk they have at the end where he tells Andy how much of a good person he is, and that's all that matters, but usually in these types of films, it's the "no dad, I'm giving up your dreams" shtick. Not here. There's a genuine personality disconnect between the two. Ralph, I keep calling him the Pops, is more pessimistic with a sarcastic, dry sense of humor, whereas Andy is more upbeat and optimistic, so they don't really find common ground. Usually it's the passions of the parent and not the actual passions of the child that leads to a disconnect, but Brink avoids that. Ralph himself says how even though he introduced Andy to skating, he didn't think he'd love it as much as he does. So yeah, it was just two extremely different people, which led to an imbalanced relationship, and that was refreshing to see even though it's type sad. Best soundtrack for a DECOM ever. It's only a few songs, but man, they just fit the California feel of the film, and they also match the fast-paced energy it presents as well. Apology by Clarissa, which is the song that plays when Andy visits Gabriella after her injury. Great tune. Perfect main character going through conflict song choice. Brink also has, in my humble opinion, the best rivalry portrayed in a Disney movie. As great as Andy is as a protagonist, Val is just as great as an antagonist. The two are evenly matched skaters, one's a good human being, the other one's a sleazeball. Andy has the greasy slick hair, which represents the carefree street skater style, whereas Val has the perfectly conditioned and luscious hair, representing someone with more means and resources. And what I like is that Val has no redeeming qualities. Usually you get that antagonist coming to his senses moment and he ends up being not that bad of a guy at the end. Again, not here. Consistent villain shit from Val, and I can appreciate that. It's very straightforward. Both of them are very good at what they do. They both do it for different reasons, and they have wildly opposite personalities. Yin and yang, baby. I'm trying to think, what other Disney movie rivalries are there that stand out? Like from start to finish. Nothing really comes to mind. Yeah, so point stands. Brink up, bitch. Best rivalry in a TV movie. By Disney, at least. Brink, baby. One of, if not the best DECOM ever. Maybe one day I'll reveal an actual list. As if my opinion means something. But Brink is such a fun watch, dude, and I'm glad it's on Disney Plus, because before Disney Plus was a thing, this shit was dumb difficult to find. And Disney Channel doesn't really air their old school DECOMs anymore. So yeah, always a pleasure to watch Brink. An all-time great TV film from heights of an era that will never be reached again.